This morning I woke up and noticed that I was Hieronymus Bosch. I had no understanding of who I was before, and who I would become after, but I knew that I was him. Somehow, I was not all that concerned with why I had been incarnated in the body of a 21-year-old woman with a nose piercing. All I knew was that I had to go somewhere. I had to go home. Hertogenbosch, the land in which I was born, lay 2 hours away by what they call train. I could not comprehend how at ease the people around me seemed to be, all the while shooting at an ungodly speed through the countryside in an oblong metal canister. I was looking for answers, something to tether me to the familiar, to a past that so evidently had passed me by. What was once cobblestone was now littered with fried potato paper waste, flavored tobacco smoke, and high-class women showing shoulder. My feet led me through the vagrant streets to my childhood home. Now a museum dedicated to my persona, a stone statue in my likeness guarding the building. Flashing light pictures were cast across stone from 1462. I could not help but feel detached from this Bosch character while an omniscient narrator told of my legacy.
No painter appeals to our imagination more than Hieronymus Bosch. In Hieronymus's time, nobody was normal. The average poor citizen of Den Bosch stank, was in pain, itched, and was ugly and deformed by today's standards.
And I did not recognize my wax figure. The house did not give me what I sought to find. The only person who could give me answers on Bosch, the only person Bosch could relate to, was Bosch. So I went in search of me. I ended up in the former New St. James Church, now the Jheronimus Bosch Art Center. The walls held countless photographic reproductions of my work, copied and flat, in such that they lost all evidence of brushstroke. Hopeless, I looked towards the icon which I created in 1500. He covered the exterior panels of a triptych, and I called him the Wayfarer. A lonesome peddler, turning his back to the temptation of the brothel behind him. One boot, one slipper, rushing away from sin. He was to me the perfect image of the hermit, put in my high praise due to his devotion to pious self-restraint. This perspective may seem paradoxical due to the shabby peddler's lowly position in society, but not so. Just looking at him restored my faith in that every soul has the chance for redemption. This newfound hope was quickly dashed. I opened the panels of the triptych to reveal my work, the Haywain, from between the years 1500 and 1516. On the left panel, I saw classic stories playing out from the book of Genesis. Adam, Eve, and my serpent with a man's head, the original sin. In the center, a depiction of a haywain, or hay cart, inundated with common people all scrabbling about, trying to snag chunks of hay for themselves. I recalled the Dutch proverb, "All the world is a haystack, and each man plucks from it what he can." A futile and selfish obtainment of earthly material goods. Gluttony. I could see a fattened monk drinking liquor, a couple in the throes of lust, a man in a straw hat slicing another man's throat. Wrath. Above, out of sight, Christ is watching. To the rightmost corner of the center panel, a host of animalistic demons hide in plain sight. In the right panel, I saw my surreal divine. Flaming hellfire lit aglow my beautifully hideous creatures as they ripped apart the flesh of all those who had sinned. A man gutted upside down on a spire by a hooded figure, a hanging head suspended from a burning chapel, and of course, a fish with pointy black boots swallowing a naked body whole. The surreal divine, in my depictions of heaven and hell, created a strict ethical doctrine which moralized the viewer. You can see this in my depictions of the other. I saw immoral behavior and attributed it to the lower social classes, which were made up of sex workers, criminals, people without vocation, and the general poor. It is no secret that I myself belong to the highest and richest social class in Hertogenbosch. During my time, around the year 1500, the popular religious understanding of the individual was that it was fallible to external influence, and depended on a stern self-containment in order to not be swayed towards vice, and therefore damnation. I saw vice and sin as folly, where drunkenness, sexuality, fury, and all similar deviant acts belonged exclusively to the lower class. So, I could use these heathens to paint cautionary tales which propel the self-restraint and composure of society. My illustration of the surreal divine will moralize you, because folly is self-destructive and will lead you straight into the arms of my disgusting, infernal beasts. The morally corrupt souls which I painted reminded me of the strangers I had passed that day on the street. What stood ringing in my mind was my greatest fear fulfilled, a future without God. I saw my name on books and keychains and plastic trinkets. These objects became like the hay, empty, meaningless possessions snatched out of avarice. Instead of moralizing, my bizarre creatures had become a commodity in their oddness, distorted to be hell for hell's sake. I had the sense that I had predicted something, a world full of vagrants. My encounters with the modern age had shaken me and altered everything I believed in. I was not sure of anything anymore. The only thing which I knew my pilgrimage had taught me was this.
Jullie gaan allemaal naar de hel.